Good morning. Hopefully you're well, and we're all ready for another episode of Gluten-Free Angela Web TV. So I hope you've got your cup of tea and you're all nice and relaxed and ready for another show on everything gluten-free. I'm Angela, and I set this up a few weeks ago because our hard-earned pounds are very precious in gluten-free world, aren't they? And we don't necessarily know what products are really, really good to buy. So I'm just going to be recommending some of the ones I really enjoy. And also, whenever we watch those baking programs and cooking programs, we're looking if we can get one recipe out of them, because everything is for the normal palate where people eat wheat. So that's why I set this up. And we've had some lovely feedback with people who have got their baking mojo back, and people who are actually starting to bake for the first time ever. However, today's programs shows a little bit different. I have actually made some of these little beauties, which are millionaire shortbreads, and I'm going to compare them to the shop dart ones. And I'm also going to make some sausage rolls, because yesterday I picked up some frozen sausage rolls to try. I've never had them before, and I thought, wow, £2.50 for two. So I decided to make my own. And so I picked up their own puff pastry. I've never tried this one before. And we're going to make some more sausage rolls, because I suddenly realised how much cheaper it is to make our own stuff. So hopefully we'll see what the taste tests are like, but I hope they're going to be okay. So you can see me, but I can't see you. So don't worry if you're there in your PJs. Don't worry at all. But we do have the wonderful Robert, who's here to help and guide the chat and ask any questions. So good morning, Robert. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Angela. How are you?
I'm brilliant today. Thank you very much. Yes, always an early start on a Saturday. I'm up at 5 to make sure everything's ready. But yes, so I'm on my second cup of tea now, which is good. So are you all refreshed? Have you got your tea there as well, Robert?
I've just finished mine, thank you.
Have you?
That was my second cup today as well.
Okay, so I'm going to walk forward when we need to look at the chat. So I'm just having a look. Good morning, Brigitte, and good morning, Tracy, and good morning to everybody else too. And if you've got any questions, please just ask as we go through in the chat. I want to just make this. This is my kitchen today. It's not a commercial kitchen, so I'll be baking for me rather than do all the chefy things. But hey, here we go. So
before you start, Tracy says she's also brought those sausage rolls, but hasn't tried them yet.
Right. So I think that we're all going into the freezer section and thinking, okay, shall I try something out of here now? So they are there, and I just want to look and see how good they are, really. So I've done exactly the same again for my own sausage rolls. And I said that when it comes to sausage rolls, I just got these from Morrison's. Morrison's have what I think is quite a good range of gluten-free and free-from stuff. So that's why that's my normal go-to supermarket. Asda's is okay as well. Marx's have some great things, but they're all their own things. And I do love Marx's flour. So these are just standard sausages. And as I looked yesterday, all of them are now gluten-free. So that's brilliant. So all of the Morrison sausages are gluten-free. So what you have to do, please cut the outer skin and then take out the middle, because it's a synthetic sausage casing. You can't really squeeze them out anymore. And you end up with this. 6 sausages just ended up in a lump. Now, what they do tend to do is use different flours. So it's not a wheat flour, which has texture and a gluiness to it. So they use things like rice flour, which can be quite dense. So, oops, daisy, spilt it already, as per usual. I just chopped up some onions and fried them earlier. And that's what I do to just give some softness to the sausage meat. If not, I tend to find they're a little bit dry. And it's amazing when you actually do something like that. People think they're a lot more expensive because there's chunks of something in. And they're not any more expensive. It's just the same stuff. So you can put gloves on if you want. You can put a carrier bag that you've never used on if you want. Or you can just go old school and you can just use your hands to combine them. I know I've done this a couple of weeks ago, but sausage rolls are something that they're lovely and we eat them so often. But as soon as you go gluten-free, suddenly that's out of your normal weekly shop. If you go out to somebody's party, they always have sausage rolls and we can't eat them anymore. So I think that's why we really miss things like sausage rolls and pies. But you'll tell the sausage meat is quite dense, but as soon as you put those onions in, suddenly it gets really, really nice, like the normal sausage meat texture. So that's all we need to do there. Let me wash my hands because this is really quite horrid. So whenever you have to get your hands dirty, it's not nice, is it? But never mind, you can get rid of all of that stuff just washing them. There we go.
Not buy gluten-free sausage meat rather than having to mess about with sausages.
They are gluten-free sausages. I tend to find that the sausage meat goes really firm and hard because of the flour that they put in to combine it. So you can try it if you want. It's just a little tip to because when you have a sausage roll, you bite into the sausage meat and it's really nice and soft. But a gluten-free sausage tends to be quite dense and firm. So if you quite like that firm, chunky meat, I'd say keep it without them. But that's what I do just to make them nice and soft. Because I do remember in the good old days when I could eat things like Greg's sausage rolls and sausage rolls from everywhere, and they were really lovely and flaky. And now I have none. I think I've got a fly going around as well. Sorry, I held the doors open earlier. So that's why I do it. It's just my own preference. So I'm going to have a look at this. This is the flaky pastry. I'll open that. I'll have a look at what they suggest. It's been thoroughly defrosted overnight. I took it out a few minutes ago. You do not need the pastry because you want all of those layers. But something that we do always do in gluten-free world is you always roll this out on either some people say what's the clear stuff, cling film. Some people say to use cling film. I don't, because it sticks to blinking everything, so I tend to use baking paper, and all you do is you put that in between your baking paper and then it won't stick. I don't think this would stick anyway. I don't think it feels that it could stick if it tried. And then I've got my rolling pin. These are rolling pins that are made out of plastic, and they've got absolutely no indentations whatsoever. And they're when you make and create cakes. So they're really good. They tend to be quite heavy as well. And all we're going to do is try and roll this. As I said, I've never ever used this before, so this is totally new. So just keep turning it. Oh God, this is dense. Oh. Yeah, this is very dense. And just keep turning it. So if anyone's ever made puff pastry from scratch, it takes forever, which is why I never normally do that. I didn't really use puff pastry when I ate gluten. But let's see. God, this is a workout first thing in the morning. Now I know why the other one was it just rolled that was already rolled, and I wasn't a great lover of it, but I Tracy really liked it.
I'm wondering if it's because it was frozen.
Don't know. Pastry can be like this. And that's where, when you have something with wheat in it, all of that elasticity allows things to move. But once you go away from that and you start using other flours, they become really dense and hard and firm. I'll fix that. Oh, right, okay. Telltale signs that it's gluten-free. As you can see, that's why I use something to roll it in. If you put this straight onto your work surface with flour, they say that just put some flour on. I never ever trust them. So I'm going to try and make some sausage rolls. Right. Still really, really thick. I'm going to get another sheet of this and do it again differently. And just on non-stick baking paper, I use this one, and it's really, really nice. It's a bit more expensive than some of them, and it's got little, I don't know if you can see that, little indentations on it. It does leave marks, but that doesn't matter. Right. Good. Right. Workout number 2. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on top of this to try and roll it out. Well, certainly didn't expect this. Bear with me, please, while I finish this off. Right. I think that's all I can be bothered to do. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is take a piece of this. Oh. It's nearly done, thankfully. See, if you're not gluten-free, you don't have to go through all of this rigmarole, which is great. Right, let me get that out of the way. Move my cup of tea slightly. And I will start to make the sausage rolls. So just get some sausage meat. And it, as I said, it goes really quite soft because when you have normal gluten-free sausages, they're really firm, and it's not what I really like in terms of sausage rolls. But last time I did the sausage rolls, Tracy popped round to sample some, and she took them home and she put them in the fridge and ate them out of the fridge, and she said they were absolutely lovely. So that's good. Right, okay. So we've got some there. Right, and then what I'm going to do is just pull this a little bit, and then I will put some, just get this now, with egg wash. And I always find that the more egg yolk you use, the better. But hey ho, I just use the yolk, the whole egg. Now, some people will use a brush. I don't always use a brush. I tend to use my fingers, because when you're using a brush, it's really easy for little bits of gluten to get stuck in it. So if ever you're doing anything gluten-free, honestly, just use your hands. A lot of the top pastry chefs, etc., they will use their hands as well. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's what I recommend and suggest. So we've got that now, a nice big sausage shape. And I will do the next ones if I can peel this off. There, that's peeled off now. So we will just do our second line of them. Then we get rid of that. You use loads and loads of this in gluten-free land. And we'll put the next ones on there. And what I was looking at earlier was for those 2 sausage rolls, it was actually £2.50. And the gluten-free sausage meat was £2. Well, it was actually 2 for £4. The onion I had in the oven anyway, but I presume it'd be what, about 30p, 20p for an onion. And then the pastry was £2.50. So all of a sudden, I think I've got 4 times the amount of stuff out of it that I would have done from buying the 2 sausage rolls. So we do want to be cautious with our money, don't we? So let me just roll this up again. And don't be afraid to be quite brutal with this stuff. You will have to pull it and try and wrap it. And just to let you know, Brigitte, I couldn't, I've actually dropped some things around for a taste test, but they were packed with sugar. So things like this, I think you can taste test. So if there's any left, I will happily bring you some round and drop it round later. Okay, so again, egg wash. Be really careful with things like the brushes, because it's amazing in a household when you have eaten gluten at some point over the years, but then changed to not eating gluten. There will be tiny little bits of gluten left in the corners of drawers. And I always think a lot of the time those pastry brushes end up in a corner somewhere. So if you're baking for yourself, if you've got a really adverse reaction to things, some people can tolerate a few grams, not micrograms of gluten. Some people 1 microgram and that's it. They've had it. So just be really careful. So I'm going to cut these up into decent sized sausage rolls on that side. So 4 largish ones, and on this side I'm going to do little smaller ones. So out of that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 larger ones and those smaller ones. So that cost me £4.30 for those, and it cost me £2.50 for just 2 little genius ones. So I don't think that's too onerous. And I'm going to pop them in now. So it's 20 minutes from now. There we go. And what I'm also going to do is open these sausage rolls now. And we can have a look and see what these are like. So, oh, they're a little bit flatter than mine. I don't think there's as much packaging in them. And what they've done, look, they haven't rolled them. They've just flipped them over. Can you see that? So I'm going to I'll put them on the same thing. Whoops. What was that?
I said, that's a really poor finish.
I know. That's like, I wasn't expecting that. You know, when you think they're going to be really nicely finished. So you can see the difference in the middle. Right, so I'm going to put some egg wash on this. Put put both of those in. I mean, a sausage roll is a sausage roll. If you haven't eaten sausage rolls in years, then, you know, they're good. But
Peter says they're not. She says they're more like wraps.
Sorry.
Brigitte says they're not sausage rolls, they're more like wraps.
I know they are a bit odd, aren't they?
Or flatbreads or pittas or something. They're not sausage rolls.
That is a bit odd, isn't it? So that's one thing. But I've got a really exciting thing today for you. I think I've got.
Your sound has dropped out. You might want to come a bit closer.
Am I okay? Right. So the other thing I've got for you, because a couple of weeks ago I tried Kirsty's apple pies that were delicious. So I've picked up this today as well, and I thought I'd pop this in the oven for us. Well, really for me, isn't it? But Kirsty's, so the apple pie that we tried a couple of weeks ago had, they were made in Germany, and anything apple is brilliant from Germany. Now, this is a pizza. I've never tried this before. They're gluten and dairy free. I believe they're okay for vegans. And it's just a simple margherita. And these were made in Italy. So it's quite nice that there's somebody here getting them made in the country where they can make stuff really, really well. And I'm going to stick this in as well, because I always think if there's a really nice classic pizza, then you can put your own toppings on. A lot of the pepperoni and chorizo and things like that are gluten-free. You just check on the label. So there's a little bit of cheese there. It's vegan cheese that's on there. A little bit of tomato. And I'm just going to whack that in now as well. So that's 14 minutes. And I think this one was this... I've got to check how much that was. What I've started doing is photocopying my receipts so I can actually see how much they were. So that was, the pizza was £2.50. So I know it's a lot more than if you can eat wheat, but we don't have an option. So hopefully I'm showing you how you can save an awful lot of money on sausage rolls from those tiny little wrap type things to having probably 4+ times that for practically the same amount of money. So the amount of filling I've put in, I think there's an awful lot more in the homemade one. So that's a really, really simple homemade thing for you. And don't forget, I haven't forgotten about gravy because I'm doing gravy today. Now, something else I've tried this week is this bread. I don't know if anyone else has tried this, but it's the Genius Fibre Fest. At the moment, it's great. It tastes really good. And what I did was I actually sliced it. It's sort of a big oval, and I sliced it long ways. And last night for my tea, I toasted it under the grill, put some butter on the side that wasn't toasted, cut up some onions and put some beautiful, it was called Victorian cheddar on top, and I had cheese on toast, and it was incredible. Now I say it's okay for now because what people do is they change the recipes. So it feels really dense at the moment, but then people complain and they'll make it lighter and lighter until it's bread that you no longer eat. So that's another little thing to try. And last week, somebody mentioned about these Lazy Days Millionaire Shortbreads. So I do apologise for anybody who hasn't had a little bit of a delivery this morning, but I know Tracy and I know Robert have got a sample of these at home. So these are Lazy Days. They're really nice. I've had them before. There's 5 Millionaire Shortbreads, and they're £2 and they're 150 grams. So, as I said, I've bought these several times. If I go to people's houses, they will buy them for me as well. They're really good. So they're £2 for 150 grams. I made my own, and I'll be sending the recipe out. We'll have it tomorrow, probably not today. And I made my own, 9. 9, as I will call them, big boys. And this cost me under £9, but look at the difference in those. And my recipe made 1,100 grams worth. So you could easily cut those into 4, to be honest. And you can see the amount of caramel that I've put in them. So Robert and Tracy, do you have your things there?
I do. And I have to say, yours smells so much better than the Lazy Days. And
Really? Yeah.
And the Lazy Days chocolate looks a bit darker, and it's such a thin layer on the top of it.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great company. They've been going for a little while. When there was nothing else on the market, these were absolutely the best that there was, the best of the best. They were incredible. When you make your own, you can choose whatever chocolate you want to go on top. So if you want to put something on from Lidl or from Aldi, perfect. Or if you want to use something like green and blacks, you can do. The one thing that I will say, I put salt in mine. I put flaked salt in, so it's more of a salted caramel. And that's why you always get this on top. And the way to get over that is to do one thin layer and then to put another layer on top. And that tends to get rid of it. But last night I could only put one. And it's for us. So shall we have a taste test?
Oh, sorry, I'm halfway through mine already. I don't like the Lazy Days. It's
Oh, do you not?
very thick pastry, and you can barely taste the caramel.
Mm. Oh! Have they gone with the vegan chocolate now? No? Belgian dark chocolate. Another one.
Oh, sorry, did you just say they use dark chocolate?
Mm.
And what do you use? Milk?
Milk.
That'd be why then. That'd be why it looked darker.
Mm. Personally, I don't think there's any comparison.
No, absolutely not. Give me yours any day of the week. Oh, wow. Oh, Angela, that's gorgeous.
It's you know, if somebody comes around to your house, honestly, you don't need to be gluten free to eat these because Robert isn't gluten free at all. The cheapest part of a millionaire's shortbread is the bottom. And I know even when I could eat gluten, I would know what was happening because what most places do when you buy a non-gluten-free shortbread, they ground up shortbread in the bottom, or some really cheap, and they grind up rich tea biscuits. And I can always tell a mile off whether they've made proper shortbread. So in the shortbread base, I put in flour. I'll just read out what's in here. So actually, don't worry, you're going to get it tomorrow, but 200 grams of plain flour. I use Marx's. Where was it? So any of the plain flours will work. I use 50 grams of sugar, just granulated sugar. Don't go out and buy caster sugar. You don't need to. A pinch of salt, and that's a decent pinch of salt. 100 grams of salted butter, and yes, I do use the one with salt crystals because shortbread should be salty. It should be sweet and salt. And you just blitz all of those together or rub it with your hands, and then you put in half a tablespoon of milk, whatever milk you want. And then what you do is I put it in a square cake tin. I line it, and I just press it down with my hands. And then you bake that for 25 to 30 minutes on about 160. What you want to do is you want to bake it without it going dark brown. So put it on about 160. The caramel, you need to allocate an hour for your caramel. it doesn't take you an hour, but you want it on a really low heat. If you've got up to 5 on your dial, you want it on 2 to 3. 100 grams of, again, salted butter, and 1 tin of condensed milk, 2 teaspoons of honey, 30 grams of brown sugar. If you haven't got brown sugar, just put anything in, and 2 tablespoons of icing sugar. For some reason, the icing sugar just makes it go a little bit thicker. And I have a secret ingredient that I put in mine, which is tonka beans. And I will talk more about tonka beans every day. But I am addicted to tonka beans. So I'll send a link out, and I'll tell you where I get them from another
I'll tell you something really funny.
What?
The microphone must have known you were about to talk about a secret ingredient, because it cut out as you started talking about it.
That's so funny. So the secret ingredient is tonka bean, and it's banned in America, and that's why I've got a blog. I've got something on my website, so I will send you the link to that. Apparently, if you had about 30 odd in a day, it could cause you problems if you had liver issues. But you use up to 1 in a whole thing. So there's no issue with tonka bean at all. Don't worry about it. But it gives such a different flavour. You don't know what it is, but it's not like vanilla bean paste. It's unbelievable. So tonka bean, I put that in as well, just 1. And then on top, what you do is after your shortbread comes out, your caramel, you put everything in a pan and you have to stir it. And most places say, oh, stir for about 7 to 8 minutes. No, I keep on stirring to warm everything through and then leave it. My caramel probably takes 25 minutes, just stirring slowly. And once everything's stirred in, I turn it up to 3.5, and eventually it starts to bubble. And it bubbles for 2 minutes and it's done, and it goes thick instantly, and it starts to go with darker colour. So that's the caramel. And then you leave that to cool for a good 2-3 hours. And then what you do is you put your chocolate, 250 grams of chocolate, in a pan over boiling water. And you just do that and let it all go nice and, melt. And then you take that off the heat and you constantly stir that chocolate, because what you don't want it to do is recrystallize, because if it does, the top will go white. So you keep on stirring and stirring and stirring until it cools down to, they call it like skin, the same as your skin. And then you pour it on top of your set caramel, and then you won't get those weird white lines through the chocolate. So I have to say, it's my go-to recipe. I absolutely love this millionaire shortbread, and it makes 1,100 grams for £8.95, and that's because I spent £3.75 on chocolate. So if you can use a cheaper chocolate that you like, you could get that down to about £6, £6.50. Because some of it in some of the supermarkets is quite good, and it's gluten-free as well. So have a look. But I spent almost £4 on my chocolate on top.
Right. So Tracy says she thought the Lazy Days was bland, to be honest, and had a strange aftertaste, quite chalky tasting. And then she goes on to say, "Oh my days," followed by a million exclamation marks. Lush, lush, lush. Angela's seriously 200% better, looks better, and oh my god, the taste is amazing, very rich. Don't think I will bother to finish the Lazy Days now. I've had one of yours.
Thank you so much.
Mine's
I have
gone.
these people, they're my friends, but Robert has always loved my millionaire shortbreads anyway for the last few years.
Mine's gone. It didn't even last maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
So I've got 2 left. So after this, we've got another show after this, but hopefully it's just showing you how everyone thinks being gluten-free is really expensive, and it damn well is. It's horrible. but we can make so much more when we make them ourselves. And, you know, I could have cut those down. To be honest, you could cut one of those down into 4. Certainly, like if they're, you know, to eat. That's what the Thornton's ones are. They're just little one bite things. So one of these could be 4 bites. You don't have to have the chocolate that thick. You don't have to have the caramel that thick. But why not? Whenever we go out, we have to eat crap. So when you're in your own home, you want gorgeous stuff. And when I go out, I stick something like this in my handbag. Because if they haven't got a dessert for me, I will take that and I will eat that. I've done that several times. So that's that. Oh,
you know how I like sweet things?
Yeah.
I wonder what it'd be like with white chocolate on the top.
Do you know what, Robert? I think next time I'm going to try that, and because it'd be really good, because I put the salt crystals in that does react.
Yeah.
The chocolate. If you swirl the white chocolate around, so you had some milk and some white, it'll cover up all those little spots as well. You can get rid of them if you, because what I don't want to do is put the salt crystals in warm caramel, because it can make it disappear from crystals into just goo. So you can stick them in, but I think that's too short.
Okay, so your pizza should be done.
Huh?
Your pizza should be done.
Let me get a nice little plate. I'll get this little plate out. It's a Wedgwood. Little Wedgwood. So,
it may need another 2 or 3 minutes. My timing might be slightly out.
All right. Take that out. I tell you something. I've just taken that out. Whenever I put a pizza in, they always say put it on a baking tray. I never do. I put it straight on.
I don't either. I put mine straight on the rack.
So
you get a crispy bottom.
It is. It's lovely and crispy. And looking at that, I think that looks quite nice.
But we know that things can look nice but not taste very nice.
I know. I'm going to leave that just to cook down for a few minutes. And I suddenly thought, do I have a pizza wheel? I don't know if I have. Oh, yes, I have. So what I'll do... So I'll leave half of it, because if it's nice, I might have it for my lunch. Right. Let's have a quick look. There we go. I know they're only thin. And I know it's cheese and tomato, but we'll have a look. So, do you think it's cool enough to eat now? I'll have a go. Like a bit sludgy. I'm going to stick half of it in for a little bit longer and just see if it needs more. Because that was about as long as they said, wasn't it? So what I'll do now is I'm just going to try some of the crust on the outside. No. There are certain things that are hard to do. I think if you put more on it, it might help a little bit. But what I'm finding is under here, it feels quite a bit gluey. So that's why I said I've put it in a little bit longer just in case, because all ovens are different. If I'm baking and if I need to get it right, or if I'm paid to bake, then I do put a thermometer in so I can see what I need to put it up to. But honestly, every oven has its own temperature. No, it's not wowed me that. It's not horrid by any stretch of the imagination. I think for me, what I'd do is I'd put a lot more. I'd put some salt on the top because I do actually quite like salt. I would put some herbs on top, and I'd probably put some of, even if it's something like peppers, just to break that taste up. But I think with those type of pizzas, sometimes you actually want such a thin amount of tomato on there, so it really brings the taste out of the tomatoes. So we'll see what it's like when it's cooled down a little bit as well. So what time are we on? Oh, I tell you what, it's gravy time.
22.
Right. We're not going to be able to see very much here, but I was trying these earlier. Because Tracy, you asked last week about gravy. And you'll see what I've been doing is I've been boiling some of the, what do you call it, carrot juice. So this is my foolproof go-to gravy. I hope you got to the supermarket and bought some of this. I checked yesterday and it's 60 pence for a whole box. And it's made of salt, corn flour and caramel. And I have zapped it on Food Maestro, and it does come up as gluten-free. I've never had a problem. And I think it's what they used to use in the war. Now, I've always got two of these. This is my open one. And when you open it, it's like a big block of oxos. But we can't have oxos, can we? We can't have gravy granules. We can have no stock pot, but that's stock. It's not gravy. So that's, I don't know why. I'll tell you why I tried this, because they were reduced one day. It was 30p. And I got one. I thought, why haven't I tried this before? So all you do is you just boil the water. So I did the carrots earlier today. And you're going to use about a teaspoon of this. But it's you have to be careful. Because you never know whether you've sprinkled salt into the water for your vegetables or not, and that's why you will have to check. But for me, I normally put salt in there, but I forgot this morning because I was doing it just for this. So you're going to need, right, it's a hard block. So just take a piece off. There's no way you're going to need that much. So you're going to take about that much first of all and just crumble it up. And it would be about the same amount as you would use of oxos. So what I've got is about that much to start off. And I'm going to put that in the water. And people always wonder how I make like gluten-free pastry. 60p for that rather than, I mean, some of the gluten-free gravy things can be about £3 for a little tub. So I don't bother those anymore.
Angela, your sausage rolls have had their time. The frozen ones have got about another 5 to 10 minutes.
I'm going to keep them all in a bit longer.
Okay.
I've just had a look and they're not crispy yet.
Okay, and the pizza's been in for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know we had this with the last ones, didn't we? I kept looking, thinking they're not going brown. Maybe it's just the flours that they use.
And the pizza's been in for another 5 minutes.
Oh, cheers, thank you. can smother it in something and make it taste acceptable. But do you know what? I struggle with any artificial sweeteners. And I can taste that, and I don't know whether it's out of the lazy days or whether it's out of the pizza. So never mind. I'll try that in a minute. So going on to the gravy, that's starting to boil now. And now you just need to get ready for your corn flour. Actually, first things first, we need to taste it.
Okay, and you have 10 minutes left.
Thank you. Right, so just have a little bit of a taste. No, you need more gravy salt in that. And as I said, I hadn't put any salt in, so I'm putting in another lump. And you're just going to have to try it yourself. And then the next thing you need, you start off with, for about half a pint, it's normally about a teaspoon of corn flour. So just take out a teaspoon of corn flour, mix it with a little bit of cold water, and then we're going to be ready to add it to this. So what you do first of all is you put some of the gravy in, the hot gravy, into your cup that's got corn flour and a little bit of cold water, and then put it back in. And that will start to thicken. And again, it depends. If you're using, I use the same water, so I'll use it to parboil my potatoes, and you get starch coming out of potatoes, which starts to thicken things. Then I will do the same for my cauliflower and make a cauliflower cheese. Then I put my carrots in it. So you can imagine all of those flavours coming out of that. And if you've got extra starch in as well, that means you might not need as much corn flour because it's starting to thicken them. So start off with 1 teaspoon and then do another teaspoon until it's as thick as you want it. And then all you need to do, so I'm going to make this thicker because I do like thick gravy. And just mix it around. Take some of the hot gravy in, mix it, and re-add it. And what people always say to me, it doesn't look right because it looks a really dark brown. Even when we're using something like some of those stock things, they're really dark brown. And the way to get over that, that's going really, really nice now. All I do is a glug of milk. And it just changes the colour because you eat with your eyes. So as long as it looks like normal gravy, it's fine. And that's all you do. You put in, whether you want to put in a little bit of almond milk, cow's milk, goat's milk. And suddenly you have a gravy that looks like gravy. I would normally leave this for a couple of minutes just so it cooks out the flour. Because whenever you add flour to a sauce, that's what you need to do. But if you can see the colour of that, that looks like gravy. It tastes like gravy. It is gravy. There's no meat products in it whatsoever. So it's fine for people who are vegetarian. And it's absolutely perfect if you are gluten-free. So I do that every time I do a Sunday dinner. And the secret is in a little bit of a dash of milk as well. Is that all right? Yeah?
I think so. Comments in the chat about it, so I assume so.
Yeah.
You've got 5 minutes, and I would say they should have that done.
Oh, I tell you what, this is quite interesting.
Bought one.
Right.
The shop bought one may need a couple more minutes.
Well, just having a look at some of this. Now I know you're saying that they need a couple more minutes, but I'm going to take one out now, so you can see the difference. This is Genius. It's Genius pastry and Genius sausage rolls. They're my sausage rolls. They're crispy on top, and I don't know if you can see that. You've got like little bubbles on top as well, it's where the pastry is starting to crack. So they're looking more appetizing. There's a real difference in the two. So please bear with me. That grotty fly is around. I'll wash that later. Right. I'm going to have a taste of this. This looks better.
Just be very careful as they've just come out.
I know. Still not a major fan, but I just think the appearance and everything is looking better. So when they've actually cooled down, I don't know what they're going to be like. I'm going to have a sample of an edge of the shop bought. I'll just try and show you so you can see. They both look like a sausage roll inside. I'll have a little taste of that. It's okay. I'll have a taste of mine. I think I prefer the homemade one using Genius, but I will say that even the Genius tastes okay. It's not as appetizing to look at, but it's okay. I just think for the price, you're paying £2.50 for two small sausage rolls. Not huge sausage rolls, are they? Two of those is £2.50. Or I made 7 small ones and 4 larger ones. So I got for twice as much money. So it came to £4.20. No, actually it was £4.20 for the Genius pastry, the sausage meat and the onion. So I would absolutely make my own. So hopefully that's helped you. It's helped you save a few pounds. That recipe will be coming out tomorrow. And do have a go. They're amazing. They last I think they last 10 days to 2 weeks in an airtight container. And that, that's covered, that's sealed, that's fine. So hopefully that's helped out. Any questions from anybody, Robert?
No. She says they wouldn't last that long in her house.
No. You're welcome to some. If you want to try some of these, you're welcome to some. And again, Brigitte, because I couldn't help you with the taste test because I know you can't have sugar, etc. But if you want to try some of them, you're more than welcome to. But that's the way to get your gluten-free pounds to go a little bit further. So yeah. Anything else? No.
No, but we are out of time.
So without further ado, it's been great to see you again, and I will see you again next week. I don't know what I want to do taste test next week. Just on that.
Biscuits.
It's okay. I've just tasted the pizza that I cooked for more minutes. It's a little bit better, but it's just maybe it's the vegan cheese that's on top. I don't know, but that's a shame because it did look really nice. So maybe biscuits next week. Okay, we'll do biscuits next week. So without further ado, goodbye. See you next week and have a great gluten-free week. Thank you ever so much, Robert. Lovely to have you here.
You're welcome.
See you next week. Bye-bye.